Aitah for breaking off an almost 9-month relationship because she wanted a fancy wedding no matter the cost. Advice needed. Then me. I'm 23, she's 20. I said that for me it's just a day event for which I wasn't willing to spend more than $5K and waste even more money from my family's side just to showcase a fancy wedding, and wanted to invest money into our future be-at-home renovations, savings towards kids, holidays together. She insisted that she wanted a fancy wedding, so we sat down with a wedding planner, and what she envisioned would be upwards of $50K. Money, which I don't have laying around, and money that I would not be willing to spend for a one ceremony. I told her that if she wants such a wedding, I'm not the guy. She kept trying to convince me and gaslight me how it's her youth, and it's one-in-a-lifetime event that will last her as an eternal memory, and all her friends and colleagues can be there, etc. She wasn't willing to compromise towards a smaller, more reasonable wedding, and I broke it off, essentially kicking her out of my own house to go live with her parents. Few days later, she kept calling me to reconsider, and I said, "You had plenty of chances. I'm not doing this again. Her parents are trying to convince me to patch this up," but I refused to bend and, quite frankly, deem it as a massive red flag that could potentially ruin my life in the long run. I rather find a girl that wants something similar and places more importance on our future together than some meaningless wedding celebration. Everyone tells me how I'm a dickhead and so hard-headed in my circles, but I think I made a hard but right decision since I'm still young and capable. This isn't it. First comment, as soon as she has the money in the bank, I like that. Right now I'm trying to remember if I had any idea how much $50K is at that age. Probably not. I had just bought a laptop for $3K. I'm old. They were censored expensive back then, and I'm proud to say that my parents contributed very little, and the rest I'd saved up all by myself through summer jobs and the like. But from that alone, I probably wouldn't have been able to deduce how much $50K really is. And don't give in if she comes up with ingenious ideas such as, let's invite 50 people and make each of them contribute $1K. First of all, that's unfair towards your guests, even those who are actually able to spend that much money on a one-day event. And second, it's a very good way of making sure that most of them, how do I put this, most of them will suddenly have prior engagements on that very day. Can't be moved or canceled, so sorry. Also at your age and after only 9 months together? Far too young and too quickly, as so many others in this thread have pointed out. That's a time when you should be planning $1K or cheaper vacations together, not $50K weddings. In closing, those eternal memories come a lot cheaper, otherwise I wouldn't have any. Second comment, she's 20. She's just not there maturity-wise to compromise. She doesn't realize that what one dreams about at 12 or on Pinterest isn't always realistic. Being financially compatible is crucial to successful marriage. Finances are one of the top 3 reasons for divorce. You're saying this isn't it, and you're 23. It's not it. That's okay. Meaningless wedding celebration. This is the only part that gets me. It doesn't make you an but it makes me think you need to reconsider wording. A wedding is ideally a once-in-a-lifetime celebration where 2 people make vows to last a lifetime. If you're religious, either of you, it's a sacrament. A vow to God. Calling it meaningless would really bother me if I were your partner. That doesn't mean that I think your wedding should cost a fortune. My sister did the blowout, 300 guest, black tie wedding complete with a custom-made dress. I got my dress off a sample sale at a bridal boutique. Got married at my family church with about 50 people there. Had cake, some finger foods, and called it a day. If I hadn't had several very senior members of my family alive, I would have gotten married in a national park for even less. Neither of us regretted our choices, just different people. Neither was meaningless though. Third comment, I'm not sure when big weddings became something women aspired to have ... but I think it probably had something to do with Princess Diana's wedding in the 1980s. As a child of the 80s, I cannot remember ever seeing any wedding photos of family members. Friends, parents, etc. showed a big fancy wedding. My parents got married in a small church with a reception at a VFW hall. Most got married in churches, had receptions at local reception halls, or church facilities, etc. But then all of a sudden ... the royal wedding happened. And ever since there has been this belief by so many women in society that they are a princess ... and they deserve to have a wedding befitting a princess. Once social media hit ... weddings became a way for women to compete with other women. All of a sudden, wedding photos weren't just things you kept in a photo album on a bookshelf. Now the wedding photo album was the main focus of the entire event. I mean, how many stories have you seen on Reddit about some bridezilla who was purposefully excluding people from wedding photos because it ruined the aesthetic? So what happened is that somewhere along the line, the actual wedding itself became more important to brides than the marriage itself. And now, because of the financial situation the millennials and gens find themselves in and the general state of the economy, big expensive princess weddings are not really in the cards for the average woman anymore. Unless you are willing to go into debt, or your parents are willing to go into debt or take money out of their retirement. I think it's one of the reasons so many women's first marriages are to toxic men they aren't compatible with. Because he has the money to make her feel like a princess on her wedding day. You are not compatible with this woman. You have rightfully determined that her desire to be a princess for a day is more important to her than being with you and having a life with you. And she was willing to take on debt for a single day instead of using that money for a home, or kids, or starting a business. And while some might say you acted harshly, the reality is your ex-girlfriend just found out that life is in fact not fair, that she may never have her princess wedding fairy tale. Truthfully, I can't remember having gone to a wedding where the groom had much input. Aside from his groom cake, which I think is something that women just made up so the grooms had something, the only real input men seem to get is the entertainment and the alcohol. It's no wonder that over 50% of all marriages end in divorce. NTAH. Fourth comment, NTA. Frankly, the expectation of a costly wedding is one of those aspects of society I'll never get, and the people who gas it up on the basis of, oh, but young girls dream about this are just stupid. Like, yay, kids dream about exciting shit. A lot of kids dreamed about going to Willy Wonka's factory and going to the candy forest room. So what? Spending 6 figures for a singular day so some chick can have some photos and memories is asinine, especially when the lead-up inevitably gives everyone in the wedding party gray hairs and leads to no shortage of Zilla-type personalities and breakdowns. Fifth comment, I am a big fan of talking the money, fidelity and child-rearing stuff out before marriage. If there is no compatibility or ability to compromise without abandoning your core beliefs, then you are probably with the wrong person. If that is the case, then it is best for all concerned to call it quits. Having said that, it is difficult to say if either budget is reasonable without knowing the currency. Where I live, $5,000 will get you an okay, but by no means extravagant 7-day honeymoon to a relatively affordable locale. It wouldn't get you a wedding. Heck, 30 years ago that budget wouldn't have gotten you anything more than a bare bones wedding. Having said that, I come from frugal folks. $50,000 is a lot, and unless you are rolling in money, I agree that it is too much to spend on one day. The lack of flexibility on both sides leads me to say, eesh. They are young, and it sounds like they don't have the money, but the 5K or nothing 50,000 or nothing thing suggests neither is ready for marriage. Also something Diop's my way, or the highway thing rubs me the wrong way. I would never demand a 50K wedding, but I also wouldn't be begging for a chance to spend my life with someone who says $5,000 or less, or get the hell out. I hope they both find someone they are more compatible with, who respects them more. Edit, just read his comment history. Yeah, girl may be young, immature, and have champagne tastes on a beer budget, but he is helping her dodge a bullet here. Dude comes off as super inflexible and controlling. On top of all that, I feel like obsession over a wedding is a clear sign someone isn't really in it for the marriage. Your girlfriend was willing to push this until her relationship broke down, and frankly that leaves me with the sign that the relationship wouldn't have lasted past the wedding much anyways, meaning it wouldn't be for her at least just a one-off. There'd be another eternal one-time event for her in her future,